Hello, Durud and Shalom. We be live.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about how the media is blind, or rather choosing not to see what's actually happening behind the scenes of the US-Iran deal, how this is not a peace act, it's actually a detonator for the Islamic Republic within internally, and how rival factions some have turned and most have united with each other, actually. So we have one puppet master in particular who has had a sharp rise in the past few days, who played his cards right and has completely thrown apart the supreme leader and all the other factions and made them all bow to him. So, does President Trump know what he's doing, or is he making a big mistake? We're going to talk about that today. And Armin, what has been happening today? What have you seen that's new?
I've seen Ghalibaf come out and say certain things, which is very revealing, which we could get to later. But I don't know what you're referring to. Also, something new is that we can see your ears. So that's also new. So,
Yeah.
guys, Ali has ears. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a haircut. I just took off the
It's
big
just that he
headphones.
doesn't have his, it doesn't have the big headphones. Yeah.
Yeah, and it works now.
What happened? Yeah. Ali's ears. Yes. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so Ghalibaf, guys, Ghalibaf is now the #1 guy in the Islamic Republic. So if you're thinking that the supreme leader was the guy in the Islamic Republic, that's not the case at all. In fact, it was never the case as soon as this new gay Ayatollah became the supreme leader. Ghalibaf is now the #1. He is coming forward and he's making statements like, I decide, I did, I negotiated. And he is basically taking credit and representing the entirety of the Islamic Republic. This is not only a complete 180-degree pivot, but it's also a potential weakness that can be exploited. If you have one person at the top holding everything together, that in itself is a weak point. And we're going to talk to you about how that's going to come into play as soon as the signing happens on Friday. Armin, I think as soon as the signing happens on Friday, the real details are released. We will see the, I forgot the English word for it, the fall. We're going to start seeing the real fall of the Islamic Republic, because politically inside, a lot of the everyday supporters of the regime are going to be completely confused as to what's going on and why everything has suddenly switched up, while all the higher-ups have gotten the memo that, hey, these are our talking points now. We're going to support the US-Iran deal. Even though last week we said it was the worst thing ever, this week we're saying, yes, this is the way to go. We're going to do this. The third talking point is we're not even going to follow it. We're just going to act like we are so we can get money, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems like President Trump definitely should know all of these things. And everyone's just, I mean, people are freaking out over the fact that I don't have my chunky headphones anymore. I guess it made a huge difference. But
yes, big difference.
You know, Trump has also said some not so nice things again today, both at Bibi Netanyahu and, you know, praising in a sort of way the Islamic Republic. There was a particular article that I wanted to talk to. So if anyone here is feeling kind of depressed lately, when I read this, I actually ended up feeling a lot better, because obviously lately things have been taking a turn, or so it seems. But with this, and we're going to go through this for you guys, things might not be exactly the way that everything looks on the surface. So with that, let's read this super chat real quick by Hezi, who says 10. Countdown. Who takes 9? Oh yeah, thank you. So kind.
Thank you, Hezi.
Mr. Hezi with the first super chat. Oh my God, some people are like, wow, the headphones made such a big difference, huh? That's so funny. And Fleshy Interloper saying Ghalibaf, the great leader. Yeah, absolutely. He's the best. And so, Armin, I wanted to get your opinion on this. I hope in the next few minutes, everyone's going to feel better. This is why. I'm going to pull this up. It's going to be some text, but Armin and I are going to talk about this. Armin and I are going to talk about this, and I wanted to find something with actual logic and reasoning to make everyone feel better. Okay, so this guy, Ramin Fallah, he's a very strong pro-Shah supporter, and he's written this article. He's kind of like a political analyst here. And essentially what he's saying that every system disintegrates in the same way that it was born. And then he draws parallels between the 1979 revolution and the fall of the Pahlavi dynasty with the potential fall of the Islamic Republic that might be happening. So he is saying that the Islamic Republic regime will never fall through a classic linear war, fair and square. But when it is going to fall, it's going to dissolve itself in the trap of a larger strategic deception and ruse, because that is how the Islamic Republic came to be. So it was born that way, and it's going to be buried that way. They're saying the regime rose to power in 1979, and there was no like conventional formula for this, the rise of the Islamic revolution in Iran. So its fall is also going to be because of mistakes and no sense and deception. What do you think about that so far? Does that make can you see that happening?
I think that's a made up rule. Like,
Okay.
where is that written? Where is that rule written? That the way, I don't know. Where does that rule come from? I think people there. One thing I'll let you guys know about social sciences is that it's not math. There is no hard rules. There are patterns that sometimes, repeat itself until it doesn't. But there is no hard rules in social sciences. A lot of people try to act like social sciences, like politics, is like mathematical formula that you could like solve for X. There is no such thing, right?
Okay. So then what do you think about this then? He's also saying what's going to happen after Friday? They're going to go ahead, they're going to sign it, and then what's going to happen afterwards? From the perspective of strategic sciences, to remove a system without creating anarchy and geographical destruction, the center of gravity must be first cleared from the path so that the body undergoes bureaucratic brain death. That's a fancy way of saying that the Islamic Republic is going to start making a ton of mistakes from now on. They have a lot of their top dogs gone, and now that they're going to consolidate, it's not like they were doing a good job before with the administration of the country. And it looks like this is going to simply accelerate that. So how is the Islamic Republic going to fall? With lies, deception, and a coup, which we've seen a lot of those so far. So that once the Islamic Republic realizes, and by Islamic Republic I mean the millions of followers that they have, and not the people at the top, we're going to start seeing such a political implosion with that the Islamic Republic is going to have a hard time just trying to keep everyone together there. Are we agreed on that at least?
Well, so far we've seen Ghalibaf been successful at least for the short term, getting everybody on the same page when it comes to their leaders, right? When it comes to the body, like that's the head. When it comes to the body, the followers, the pro-regime Iranian people, it remains to be seen. You might be correct, you might be wrong. I think the first test is going to be Ali Khamenei's funeral. We have to see how much chaos and infighting are we going to see at Ali Khamenei's funeral. We have to see, yeah.
No, you're getting a spot on. Go on.
Yeah. But also, that's one factor. Another factor is how much does that matter, right? If the infighting is among the pro-regime people, but not at the regime officials themselves, I think it's unsustainable for the regime to rule over so many unsatisfied people. But I think that maybe people are overestimating how fast this is going to break everything apart, right? Because I suspect that a lot of these pro-regime people, they come out kafan push with the shrouds on, but I bet you the vast majority of them who claim that they would love to become martyrs for Islam, if you shoot some guns in the air, they all will go running home and never come out again. Like not all of them, like a lot of them. A lot of them will have a panic attack and they will go home and they will think that this is the most traumatic thing that they ever experienced, and they would never want to see that ever again, right? Many of these pro-regime people are like, "Oh my God, I will die for the Islam," and blah blah blah. As soon as they see some real conflict, they will go home, close the doors, lock it, and never participate in anything like this ever again. That's what I'm guessing. So, I mean, and that's bad for us. Like, for once, we actually prefer that these people are actually, like, no, it would be better. It would be better for us if these people were actually genuinely pro martyrdom and shit like that, so that they could fight against the regime, and it wouldn't be this easy for the regime to scare the shit out of them. But unfortunately, I think that these people are easy to scare the shit out of.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we'll touch back on the funeral of Ali Khamenei later, because that's going to be such an important event, guys. So we're we're only a few weeks away from that. And it's going to be a defining event in the history of the Islamic Republic. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. What do you think about this part? Ramin also, this person on X, also thinks that the FIFA World Cup could be a perfect cover. The World Cup draws the attention of the entire world, and it can draw the attention away from some things, not like an open war, but it could draw attention away from something like a memorandum of understanding that's happening, or peace talks, nuclear what do you call it when you dilution, things like that. And so his theory is that with these talks,
I think that after you go through this, I think we should show what Ghalibaf said. I think those are going to be very revealing. I
have that as well. Yeah. So it seems like oh, that was the wrong one. Okay, there it is. So we're going to attack them from a blind spot. And from this angle, the calm before the storm could be the final and the most complex trap for managing this fall of the system's endgame. If the Islamic Republic doesn't believe that they're ideologically defeated, which is impossible, you can just simply go and destroy their military, kill like 70% of them. And at the end of the day, they go, you can't kill our idea of the Islamic Revolution. It'll never go away. You can't defeat us. And as long as you don't put troops on the ground to physically remove us from our institutions, what are you going to do? And this could be a ploy from President Trump to start the slow process of an internal implosion within the Islamic Republic. The counter of which is that Ghalibaf has done his absolute best to gather everyone and put them on the same page, and to have the blame and the damage spread amongst everyone.
So let me give you an alternative to what you're saying, and you let me know what you think. Okay. What if President Trump's plan is not to cause implosion within the Islamic Republic, right? Or to do regime change? Guys, let's just consider this without getting triggered. Can we do that? No? Okay. What if President Trump experimented with regime change, quick regime change, and saw that, okay, that was an experiment to see if we could get it done or not. Okay, wait, Ali, I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying, because I need your feedback on this. Okay, so don't scroll around. Listen to this. Okay, what if the idea now is we could deal with these people, because what if actually the Americans have access to information that shows that Ghalibaf, that the Islamic Republic is so desperate for cash right now that they have no choice but to open their economy. It's not that it's they want to open their economy, but there is just no more money, right? So we tried to see if we could do some bombing and then give some weapons to some people and encourage an uprising and quickly get this, because if the regime change model takes too long, let's say I'm President Trump, I'm not interested in it, right? I want to we need to wrap this up, right? And we went and bombed things, seeing if we could encourage an uprising while arming the Iranian people. The arming didn't work. The uprising, the regime was still able to suppress the Iranian people. So I understand why there wasn't an uprising. So push that completely aside. Let's do something else. We do the blockade. We do Operation Economic Fury. And then we bring the Islamic Republic to its knees. We find within the Islamic Republic somebody who understands that anybody who disagrees with me will die. So one of you should cooperate with me with this new Venezuela model that I have now for the Islamic Republic, right? Where I remove some of the head and will deal with a new Islamic Republic that is more open to the world, less hostile. And people are like, well, this regime is the same as the old regime. They're even more radical. And, the perspective could be, it doesn't matter. They could be more radical. They don't have any fucking choice. I suffocated them to the point where right now, I think people are underestimating how bankrupt right now the Islamic Republic is. I think people don't understand that, right? So what if the goal is to, the plan that is at play here is that Ghalibaf is coming, and like we could listen to his messages, which will reflect what I'm saying, is coming up with the understanding that, guys, this is not sustainable. We're gonna all fucking die. Like we have run out of money, and the whole country is gonna rise against us if we like what is about to. I think people haven't still seen the impact of the economic impact of what's about to happen. People are like, oh, they're releasing some money to guys fund the Operation Epic Fury and Economic Fury and the naval blockade has broke something so fundamentally within the economy of Iran that is unfixable unless with billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of foreign investment. Like there is nothing that could fix this other than opening the economy. Like it's everywhere. Like for example, the Iran's steel industry, which used to be right before this one of the biggest in the world, is now fucking broken, right? You cannot replace those jobs. You cannot fix that unless you open the economy. Opening the economy is also kind of the beginning of the end for the IRGC. And what if President Trump is now basically completely invested in this model, and he's not trusting Ghalibaf. He's basically the intelligence that is being given to President Trump shows him that basically there is no other choice. Like one way or another, these people, they're so out of cash that they are going to be forced to open their economy to the world. And he's dangling $300 billion in front of them to understand is basically the choice between complete collapse or maybe me creating a vehicle for you for foreign investment to come into your country, and just basically dealing with this new model of Ghalibaf in charge.
Absolutely. After watching multiple different people, watching Murad Vaisi, thinking about it, seeing all these statements come out, I arrived at the exact same conclusion that even if that wasn't the goal from the beginning, which makes a lot of sense for me, it has achieved that effect and it's undeniable. For anyone who didn't understand, this is what happened. President Trump created a problem for the Islamic Republic and gave them the solution to it. That is exactly what's happened. He's forced them to accept something that they never would have accepted otherwise, unless President Trump didn't create this problem for them. With this, he now gets to get the uranium out. When that uranium is out, Iran's economy is in shambles. Even if you have access to $300 billion, how fast can you inject that money into the economy? And how fast can you titrate that down for it to actually get spread apart? Also, if you're going to ensure that they don't send money to their proxies, and you're going to ensure that they don't spend it on a nuclear program or limit their missile program, this money is going to go somewhere else if they enforce that.
Wait, so people are saying, as if I'm saying that this is the most ideal situation. Obviously, it's not the most ideal situation for us, especially as Iranians, would be for the regime to fucking die. Like, I'm not saying that this is what we want. It might be what it would make the most sense for the United States. Like, for example, Steve is saying, and you don't think complete collapse would be a better choice for Trump? It would be a better choice for us Iranians and for Israelis. But given that President Trump requires a fast turnover, especially before the midterms, it's not the most ideal for President Trump and his. It's not. It might not be the most ideal. Just because it would be the most ideal for Ali and I and many of us here, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the most ideal. Either way, I still think we are still moving in the right direction.
I will stop
tell you why.
thinking we will move. I will stop thinking that we're moving in the right direction when this money is injected into the Islamic Republic and used for building missiles and drones and nuclear program and funding their proxies.
Wait, we got Dominic is saying, "I'll take 8 now." LOL. Where is Ahmadinejad? Yeah, I haven't heard from him from a while. So.
He's definitely in hiding. He does not want to show his face.
Fleshy interloper with the super chat saying, "Islamic Republic have said they are lying, and I believe them." Yeah, I mean, the Islamic Republic is saying so many different things, and you shouldn't be trusting them. Everything that Americans are doing should be based on observing behavior. That's why one thing about the MOU that I don't like is that it seems like they're suggesting that the sanctions will be removed and the negotiations will be happening regarding nuclear stuff will be happening after. So that is your mutual, yeah. So that is something I don't like about the MOU. That first the sanctions will be removed. Later, we're gonna have negotiations about the nuclear stuff. That is not good.
Yeah, we're not paying to play here. That makes absolutely no sense to me. So these terms come out within 48 hours, and we'll get a confirmation on which direction we're heading then. Keep in mind, this memorandum is going to be a page and a half. Or supposedly it's supposed to be a page and a half. It's going to be I don't want you guys to get your expectations up. This is them going to start talking. Over the next 60 days, we're going to constantly hear about their negotiations and how they're going. So we're going to pay more attention to Witkoff and Kushner and what Trump says. We're going to pay more attention to what's internally happening in the Islamic Republic. If I could bring up the timeline, just think about it this way. Friday, 2 days away, signing in person. Then the next big event is going to be the burial of Khamenei. When he is buried, you have the entirety of the Islamic Republic supporters side by side, some of whom think the others are traitors now, and some of whom are frankly confused as to what is going on. We have to see what they do. We need Iranian people on the streets there to video the reactions, video the fights breaking out, and video the chants and slogans that are being said. This is going to be a, I think, 5-day event. It's going to be gold for us to gather all of this data and to see what the public sentiment is. within the regime supporters. Okay? That's what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. After that, what you're going to hear is a lot of Witkoff, Kushner, the special envoys to go and negotiate with the Islamic Republic. You're going to hear Ghalibaf and IRGC say a lot of things. That's what we're going to be focusing on. That is going to give us a very clear direction on where things are going. And last but not least, the same way that the Islamic Republic is about to gauge public reaction to the memorandum, President Trump is also going to gauge the reaction of the Americans to this memorandum. If you can do anything during this time, it should be to keep pushing the idea that giving them money first is a bad idea, that if this is really what's going to happen, we'll find out in a couple of days. If that's what's really going to happen, if the memorandum we've been seeing on circulating on the internet is happening, that you should give criticism of, hey, don't give money first, don't trust them, don't do this, don't do that. You want your voice to be heard as much as possible. Again, do not go out and say, F you, Trump, you effing suck, you guys are all, don't say that. It's not going to help you, it's not going to help me, it's not going to help Iranian people in Iran. Everything we do is for Iranian people in Iran. But criticize it as constructively as you possibly can.
Perfectly said. We got another super chat from Joanna saying, I said yesterday that I think the new Supreme Leader and Vahidi are dead. Could this be why Ghalibaf is calling the shots? It could be, but it could also be, I mean, even if with Vahidi dead, there are other very important people within the IRGC. I mean, I think the fact that the most important people within the IRGC are coming out and bending the knee to Ghalibaf and praising the negotiators and the negotiations shows that even if you're right that they're dead, it's actually bigger than that. Ghalibaf has the upper hand because Musavi came out and bent the knee to Ghalibaf. Ghani came out and bent the knee to Ghalibaf. Abdullahi came out and bent the knee to Ghalibaf. These are some of the most important people within the IRGC right now, right? And not only that, the office of the Supreme Leadership came out and bent the knee to Ghalibaf. You might say it's because he's dead, but Mir Bagheri, he's alive. Mir Bagheri, the spiritual leader of the Paidari camp, came out and endorsed the negotiation. Like, how do we? Let me actually see if I have that. Look at this. Guys, Mir Bagheri, this is supposed to be the most hardliner person within the Islamic Republic. Like, it doesn't get any more durka than this, right? It doesn't get any more anti-American, anti-negotiation, compromise than this guy here. Let me bring this guy. Okay. So this is Mehdi Mir Bagheri. Let's listen to what he said. This is the head of the Paidari camp. Okay. Guys, everything we tell you here is based on deep information that we have from the Islamic Republic. And I promise you, you're not going to get any of this anywhere else. Like, regarding Iran, every single day before I come and, share these with you, Ali is deep inside Durka town, watching everything these people are saying. And every day before I come and do my live streams, I'm with my Persia. I do a live stream and I'm in touch with my network inside Iran, and I'm basically telling, sharing the theories and listening back and looking at the evidence with people with thousands of people inside Iran. And this level of analysis regarding what's happening in Iran, you're not going to be able to find a match. I promise you're not going to be able to find a match anywhere else. But look at this. Muhammad Mehdi Mir Bagheri, okay, Muhammad Mehdi Mir Bagheri, a member of the Assembly of Experts, which is not as important as him being the spiritual leader of the Paidari camp, regarding the protest. Look at this. I mean, this was unimaginable. This was a bombshell, right? This is what he said regarding the protest against the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Islamic Republic and America. He said this: the idea that ultimately something very bad will come out of it, I don't have such a notion. in his conversation with Entakhabat website, he added, it may not be excellent, but the idea that it will be something weak and that we should become very worried, no. Therefore, do not be worried and anxious, and do not pump anxiety. Mir Bagheli told the protesters, you should not transfer worry and stress to the people. He stated that Mushtaba Khamenei has serious oversight, gives serious reminders, and controls the scene.
If the Islamic Republic tells you not to worry, what does that mean? That means that they're definitely worried about exactly what they're telling you to not be worried about. Don't blame each other. Don't spread unrest. Oof. Damage control. And they're doing it.
But it also means that Ghalibaf has been successful in getting everybody in line.
Yep. So far, yes. So far. And these are the look, I think the earthquake happened in that the aftershocks are now going to be felt within the Islamic Republic because now they get to finally consolidate everything, and people get to go back to the system within the Islamic Republic that they were in. But now all those people who were previously there are gone, placed, and their ideology has just had a huge shakeup.
So Texas Trip is saying, I just popped in chat, catch me up. So we are basically watching. Actually, this is a good time, Ali. We should go through Ghalibaf's videos, multiple videos, to show people that we're not just these are not just guesses. This is based on reality. But before I do that, let me actually respond to. We have guys. We for everything that Ali and I say, we have something that this is based on, right? We're observing things. This is empirical. This is not just rationalization. This is empiricism. But who's it? Nekama Gluck? I don't know if I'm pronouncing Nichama Gluck. Thank you so much for the super chat. I know I pronounced that wrong, but saying regardless of what the dollar is used for, who with brains sends their enemy money, let alone $300 billion? Why give them any advantage? Recovery seems upside down. So first of all, we haven't seen any money go to the Islamic Republic yet. I think the part that we should be more critical about is not the $300 billion. The $300 billion actually makes sense to me, and I'll tell you why. The part that I think me and Ali would be more critical of, if it's true, is the sanctions removal before you get the enriched uranium, or before you even start negotiating regarding the enriched uranium. That is the part to be critical about. The $300 billion is not actually as bad as people think, because the $300 billion is with the condition of opening Iran's economy, and it's not any government giving the IRGC money. It's private businesses investing in private businesses in Iran, and the private sector within Iran is against the IRGC. So really quickly, let me tell you this: the IRGC has control and power in Iran because of their isolationism, because of lack of competition, because of their monopoly over many industries, and because of their command economy structure. And also that gives them their economic control. Their military control comes from anti-Americanism and anti-Israeli philosophy. So anything that changes any of that would remove their economic leverage and their military leverage power. And this is their entire DNA and foundation. So they would be against anything. So this is not $300 billion that will go to IRGC. This is $300 billion that will go against IRGC, because it comes with the condition of opening the economy to private investments. And honestly, right now, the economy of Iran cannot absorb $300 billion. And even if it could, you would be burning your money, because in an environment where the IRGC is in control of the economy, with their monopoly, with their control over the economy, no private industry will be able to survive with that much level of state control and competing with IRGC businesses. So it is burning your money. So it requires this, for any billions of dollars to get invested in Iran, requires the opening up Iran's economy means the IRGC has to let control over its main assets. It has to let go control over the economy, which would be the beginning of the end for IRGC, which is something that we shouldn't be even. I mean, we can't even judge right now because it just seems so far away and really hard to do. But if it comes with that condition, then it's against the IRGC, not for the IRGC. The part of the part of the MOU that seems the most worrying, again, we have to still wait and see, is the sanctions relief without the Islamic Republic doing anything meaningful in return. That is a fair criticism. That is the fair part that we could criticize.
So Armin is saying that even if this money is given to the Islamic Republic, it cannot be given all at once. Okay? It's not like it just goes into the pocketbooks of Ghalibaf and the IRGC commanders, and we don't know what happens to it. It's going to be super visible, and it's going to be in the private sector. Now, one thing is, the IRGC have a law of control in the private sector, to the point where people often say in Iran, you can't even build a skyscraper. Like, you can't build a building without the IRGC having, like, dipping their finger in it. Like, they'll know about it. If you boost the people and have the people start rising up with their own economic activities, that's a counter to the IRGC's power. But most importantly, when I went through the 100+ hours of the Iran Prosperity Project videos that they have on Nufti's channel, one of the key points was that in a free Iran, when the transitional government takes power, we will not allow countries to just come in and dump billions of dollars in investment into a new and free Iran. That's actually not going to happen. The reason for that is because if you suddenly dump billions of dollars into the Iranian economy, it completely destabilizes the currency of Iran. Dumping $300 billion into the Iranian economy will do the same exact thing. So the question is, how long is it going to take for this money to get to their hands? How slowly is it going to get there? And what is it going to be spent on? I'm going to be watching that like a hawk, because I do not want to see a single dollar go towards a single proxy or towards building a nuclear weapon. So again, Friday.
So, but let me actually answer this. Texas Trooper saying, is that for certain to happen, Armin? Sanctions relief without performance of unconditional? No, that's why I said that's what we have to watch out for, because a lot, again, I'm trying to be careful with my words. A lot of people are saying that the text is out there, and this is their interpretation of the text, and the text that I've seen seems to be the correct interpretation if that's the text. But I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. I'm just saying that if the text is what they're saying, and if that's how it's actually going to be implemented as the text says, which again might not, that would be what to watch out for. And if that happens, that would be a fair criticism. If we see sanctions relief for the Islamic Republic before getting the enriched uranium out, that's why I'm starting with the F statement. I just want to give an idea for people for what I see as a fair criticism. What is the areas of concern that I think people are getting wrong, but what would, in comparison to what would be a fair criticism, right? So we cannot criticize the United States for doing sanctions relief before they actually do sanctions relief. But I want to basically, because people might think like, oh, you guys are just going to watch what happens and then justify it later. So I'm going to beforehand, I'm going to say, if this happens, I already committed to saying I don't agree with it, or at least we could say that there's a fair bit of criticism over there. I'm committing to it before it happens, so you could see that I'm not dancing around it. And I think most of you agree with me, right? That would be a fair criticism to do sanctions relief, because if you look at the way that this is being discussed, they're not just doing U.S. sanctions relief, they're doing also UN sanctions relief, which I didn't even know United States could do on behalf of the UN. But again, we'll see. We'll see. It's all up in the air, and I think like final judgment should be based on not what is being said, but by what actually happens.
And with that, Ghalibaf has said some things today, like
But before
this.
you play
So,
that,
yeah.
really quickly, because this is related to what we were saying. Let me just read this really quickly. Thank you, for the super chat saying, what you're saying about the 300 billion and private industry makes sense, but China has a private industry with extreme state control. Yeah, I mean, and I don't like that, but China right now has more of a free economy than Mao, right? And like, so, and so your suggestion is that even with that level of private industry, the Islamic Republic might still stay in power. That's what I think you're suggesting. Well, here's the thing. I know that the IRGC. So here's the thing. We don't have an ideological army that controls everything in China that is had an expansionist global order taking over of the globe, death cult mentality that will lose its legitimacy and the requirement for it to invest the resources of Iran beyond the borders of Iran if that model is destroyed, right? So there's that. And also the IRGC being weakened and the private sector being able to compete with it, reducing the level of control IRGC has in Iran, uh, will, given the determination of the Iranian people to eventually free their country completely, I think that weakening the IRGC gets us closer to that point. So I think your worry is justified. What if the IRGC is weakened, but is still more powerful enough, like in China, for it to be able to still, suppress the Iranian people and maintain control over them? That is a completely fair point if you compare it to China, but it is also correct to say a weaker IRGC gets us closer to a free Iran. So both your concern is valid, but it is true that weakening the IRGC gets us closer to our goal. But that's a very valid example and a very valid point. Let me know if I answered your question in the chat. And also Fleshy Interloper was saying they will skim. Sounds like they're good at it. Yeah, that's a good point. But that's a really good point. The example that you brought up as a pushback, and let me know if I answered it properly. And then two more super chats before we go to Ghalibaf. Nichama, thank you so much for the super chat saying very interesting. Thanks for a thoughtful response, for thoughtful responses. I understand what you're saying. My main concern then would be massive fraud schemes, as is very common with the U.S. funds and circle. So yeah, that is for sure the case. I mean, Fleshy Interloper, I think, was kind of hinting at that as well. However, that would be a source of funding for the IRGC. For sure, they will be involved. For sure, they will find ways to funnel some of the money to the IRGC. However, it will also be the case that they will be weaker than before, significantly weaker than before. If we have foreign investments, foreign companies, a private. So there's two things. So IRGC benefits from being in a bubble, from isolationism, from not competing with two things, with global industry and the private industry within Iran. If you open up Iran's economy, even with the corruption and even with the skimming and the fraud and everything, at the end of the day, an IRGC with industries that has to compete with the private markets inside Iran and also the global markets outside, international big giant global chains outside, is a weaker IRGC. But what you're saying is also true. And then let me know if that made sense. By the way, Noah, thank you so much for the super chat. The Persian Americans Noah saying Trump gave the $300 billion to me. LOL, joking. I wish. Okay, well, share some of
I wish too.
If he, yeah. By the way, why are you then giving us only a $2 super chat? So just Jew hater, not even paying attention, is saying hopium. I think you don't even understand what we're saying. This is above your head, because if you actually paid attention, you wouldn't be saying that. I'm actually being very realist with people, but I think this is above your level of understanding. So I understand.
There he is, though.
Yeah.
He's there.
Okay.
He's there.
Okay. Yeah, he's there. Okay. Oh, the last one. Sorry, Ali. I know you want to go to Ghalibaf. Todd,
No, no, no.
but Todd, Todd is saying if this theory were true, Rubio would be out front. If this theory were true, like Rubio, I don't. You mean like he would be speaking out against it? Is that what that means, Ali?
Yeah.
Well, I think Rubio's philosophy is that I'm serving the president and I'm here to make his vision come true. That's what I think his philosophy is.
He also doesn't need to say anything to express his disapproval. Him being quiet and not saying anything is also an indication of how he might feel.
Ooh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, this might be why JD Vance is speaking more often right now and Rubio is speaking less.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just wonder what's going to happen if this plan completely goes up in smoke. Is Rubio going to come out and say anything against it then, or is he just going to? I mean, at that point, also staying silent is like a kind of a stance there because JD Vance is going to be frantically defending himself. But
and also Todd is saying that Tucker Carlson wing is now running U.S. Army. I wouldn't. I mean, I think we're going from a little bit from Rubio to JD Vance. I wouldn't go as far as Tucker Carlson because if we are going Tucker Carlson, then why are they all upset? Why is Tucker Carlson upset? Why is Nick Fuentes upset? They're not happy with what they're saying. I think we're moving a little bit. We're going from Rubio to JD Vance, but not all the way to Tucker Carlson. Yeah, but thank you for the super chat. But go on, Ali. Sorry for. Miss. By the way, Texas troop, if Jew hater says anything like insulting to you, feel free to time out or do whatever you need to do. Okay, Jew hater, you're safe when you want to insult me and Ali, but I noticed that you're really in favor of insulting the woman and doing sexually insulting women, which is actually very predictable for your type of people. Anybody who is pro-Islamic Republic and anti-Israel and pro-Islam and anti-Jewish, this type of behavior is very predictable, and it's actually it's a reminder of what your type of people represent. So Texas and feel free to do whatever you need to whatever you need to do when it comes to Jew hater. And yeah, actually, and he's saying, "Oh, Armin the White Knight." No, you fucking idiot! You're too retarded to understand. I'm actually being nice to you. Texas troop knows how to take care of herself, and I'm actually being gentle to you. She's not going to be as gentle. Anyways, I know your type doesn't like a strong woman. Basically having control over them, but I'm basically creating your worst nightmare. I know that you pro-Islam, pro IRGC type people, the greatest humiliation and insult is a woman having control over you. So I'm letting Texas troop having full control over you. All right, go on, Ellie.
Okay, so it seems like the memorandum of understanding has been electronically signed again.
Yeah.
Am I reading that right, guys? Just for the second time for some reason?
Yeah, bring it up.
So let's take a look here. Where is this? Trump and Iran sign MOU deal ahead of schedule. Why is it doing that?
You want to show
guys,
it?
This is Axios, though. This is Axios. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
okay. Yeah,
so
I heard Axios is saying
earlier,
like they digitally signed it again. Like what the hell? Yeah. Go ahead.
Axios must be making a lot of money. Confirming earlier speculation, Axios reports that the U.S. and Iran have remotely signed the MOU to end the war and open the Strait of Hormuz. The agreement is now in effect. The signing took place in a dinner in France alongside President Macron, which was today, between Trump, Vance, and Ghalibaf. But the signing was supposed to happen on Friday. Does that mean the signing's not going to happen on Friday in person? Or I'm confused. So this is Axios. I don't understand. Is there anywhere else that's reporting this? I haven't seen anyone else.
Yeah,
other than
don't take it.
Axios.
Don't take it seriously until it happens, because we don't know. It's always a coin toss with Axios, I guess.
Yeah, I only see Axios reporting this. What I do see is that the Islamic Republic spokesperson for the foreign ministry, Baghai, is still saying that Iran and Oman will be controlling the Strait of Hormuz, that they will have a fee, and that it is unacceptable for them to have the enriched uranium leave the country. That is, I don't see any. What changed? I'm so confused. What has possibly changed here? If they say that they're still going to control the Strait of Hormuz, they're still going to keep the uranium inside the country. All right, let's see what happens. But
let's go to Ghalibaf, because
let's go to Ghalibaf. So Ghalibaf has been saying something completely crazy. Okay, so guys, he just said we must start building up the country for the people of the country. We must economically lift them out of pressure. That is what he said. How crazy is that, do you think?
Actually, that's not the most important part. Play it.
بیستیم
Go to
مردم
the
را از
beginning.
کار اقتصادی در امروز اون سنگر رو از بچهای لانچر و تحویل بگیریم، بیستیم این مردم رو از زیر فشار اقتصادی در بیاریم.
So, do you want me to translate this to you? Because this was actually a big deal. Really big deal.
Yeah.
What you just said there.
But did I get it right that he's saying instead of building missiles, let's help out the people?
No.
Okay, what does he mean then?
Okay, so what he's saying, this is actually, this guy is like, you have to give it to him. He's kind of smart. He's being very, very strategic, and he's speaking in code, and the people who need to get the message got the message. So guys, I'll tell you what literally he's saying, and then I'll tell you what he actually means. And I will tell you what he's literally saying, and I'll see if you guys get what he's saying, right? If you already heard me explain this earlier in an earlier live stream, don't give anybody, like, don't tell people. I just want you to, see if you could decode this. And guys, I noticed that on English speaking media, nobody explained this except, in our, Liberty Politics live streams. So this is something that if you understand, you have better understanding of what's going on than almost anyone else, right? So Ali, let me just tell you the literal part. He's saying that we need to take away the strongholds, right, from the launcher boys, the young people responsible for the rocket launchers, right? We need to take it away and bring it to us and save the economy. So you can see he visually was straight. Like, we need to take the strongholds from the launcher boys, take it, and then save the economy. So what is he talking about?
His own, not the actual people, his own.
He's saying, so he's pretending to say that it's our turn now. So good job, soldiers. Great job. Now let us pick it up. Okay? Let us pick it up now and rebuild the country and save the economy. That's what he's pretending to say, so he doesn't get in trouble. But what is he? Yeah, launcher boys, guys. Launcher boys are basically the heroic IRGC soldiers that go to the rocket launchers and launch their missiles, take a huge risk because it could blow up any moment, right? That's what the launcher like. By Chai launcher. But what is he actually saying?
I don't know. You have to tell me.
He's saying the IRGC is the reason why we're fucked in the economy. And we need to remove the control of IRGC, and you need to give it to me because these fuckers are sinking the ship. Right. So it's
So
like
this was the
he's
promise.
saying. So well, let me tell you, okay? So he's saying, guys, if we keep letting IRGC go down this path, we're all fucked, okay? Because the economy is in shit, and these fuckers want to insist on fighting, and we cannot continue fighting. We need to stop these fuckers from taking us all down, and remove control from IRGC and give control to me, because the country is going to shit and I can save it.
Which is completely in line with his ambitions, but it also must be the promise that he gave to the Americans about changing their behavior. This is what he's been telling them, is that I will take power away from the IRGC and consolidate it around myself, and I will be your guy. That's what he's been telling them. Whether, I mean, obviously it's a lie, but I think that's what he's been telling Witkoff and Kushner.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's. Yeah, that's what he's. I mean, he's being kind of obvious about it now. He's telling the Americans that, listen, the supreme leadership, the Paidari people, and the IRGC, fuck these people. They give the power to me, and I will open the economy, and I will give the things that you want. Help me push back against all of these three groups: the Paidari people, the supreme leadership, and IRGC. Make me the king. Make me the main leader. Give me control over everything within the Islamic Republic, and push back against them. Help me push back against them, and I'll give you what you want. And he's also saying, you don't need to trust me, because you know that I know that we need money, and I know that we need to open our economy, and I know that these people would, if it was up to them, they wouldn't let it. So you know that I'm desperate for cash. You know that I'm desperate to stay alive. So you don't need to trust me. Just know that I'm self-interested into accepting that we have that we need to surrender. So just let me be in charge, and I will try to open the economy so that we get some money coming in, so we don't get fully bankrupt, and I stay alive and in charge. In fact, I have another video for you, which from 1 month ago from Ghalibaf, which provides more context. This is from a month ago, guys, and this is resurfacing. You know, when Ghalibaf said this, people were not taking me seriously regarding what's the coup that is happening within the Islamic Republic, in between these four segments of the Islamic Republic. But now that it's becoming more clear, this video that was out there a month ago is now resurfacing, and everybody is now playing this. So let's watch this.
اما می‌بینید که ساختار نظامی و مدیریتی کشور از فرد محوری خارج شده است به گونه‌ای که کسی تصور این حجم.
That's it. You don't even need to listen to the rest. He's saying the system of the country has now moved away from being based on one person. You know, it's moved away from that. It's not individual center. This is who is this against? Yeah, I mean, this is against the supreme leader. This is this statement is a pretty direct attack of the against the concept of supreme leadership. Why don't you listen again?
اما می‌بینید که ساختار نظامی و مدیریتی کشور از فرد محوری خارج شده است به گونه.
So he's saying you can see that the military and management structure of the Islamic Republic has now left being centered on one individual.
Let's talk about the counters to this. Okay, so with this, I mean, this isn't going to be a 1 or 2 day process. This is going to be a lengthy process for him to convince people, give up on the IRGC, believe in me and my people, in my institution. Stop believing in the supreme leadership, believe in me. So the Paidaris make sense now that they're on his side. The counter that I'm immediately thinking of is that this is going to cause so many gaps for infiltration.
I mean, obviously, he's going to be dealing with a lot of challenges, but the fact that the IRGC heads and the Paidari head and the supreme leadership have came up with full endorsements of Ghalibaf shows that so far he's being successful, right? I mean, guys, like think
So
about
far.
this. Put this so look at this. Let's put all the evidence next to each other. We have submissions by the highest levels within the IRGC, submissions from the supreme leadership to the Ghalibaf, and submissions by the spiritual leader of the Paidari camp. And at the same time, we have a video him saying we need to move from IRGC to me because we need to save the economy. And we have a video from him basically very obviously attacking the institution of the supreme leadership. And on top of that, he actually made it very clear here in this other segment of this video that he's saying like, yeah, guys, I'm in charge. Look at this. I mean, is this the right video? Look at this. He's like, the caption is actually funny.
همه بیان برای من تصمیم سازی کنید که من بتونم تصمیم درست بگیرم.
So she said, like, you all should come to me and help me with decision making so I could make the right decision. Right? So he's basically he's basically putting himself in charge of everything. So, but like, let's continue. I'll
تصمیم درست بگیرم. ولی من فردی نیستم که بدون تصمیم بمونم.
Like, but I'm not a person that would stay idle without actually making a decision
همینطور الاف باشم.
and waste time.
شما برای من تصمیم سازی کنید تا من تصمیم گیری کنم.
So create good decisions for me so I could make a decision.
من هرگز وارد جزئیات نمیخوام بشم. من فقط میخوام برای شما تصویرگری کنم.
Like, I'm not going to get into the details, but all I want to do is to make the decisions for you. So basically what he's saying is that you guys, all of you, this is the actual translation. This is what he means. I will listen to your suggestions, but whether you disagree or not, I'm not going to wait around. I'm going to make decisions here. I'm going to make the decisions for you around here. You could give me your feedback, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to wait around and I'm going to make a decision. And it's interesting because I didn't read the caption of this Iranian posting this. So this Iranian posting this is like, has Ghalibaf become the leader? What the hell is up to you? Wasn't he supposed to take revenge? Was this the achievement of 100? Yeah, so 100-year night. So yeah, was this the achievement of your 100 nights? Basically, so talking about the pro-regime people in the streets. But people, like, when this video came, this segment of the video is pretty clear that he's introducing himself as in charge and the main decision maker within the Islamic Republic. It's very interesting because the weakest part of the Islamic Republic has now turned into the strongest part of the Islamic Republic. Because, guys, if you look at the four segments of the Islamic Republic, the IRGC, the Supreme Leadership, the Paidari camp, and the negotiation facing segment, the suits, right? The more so-called moderate, pragmatic segment of the Islamic Republic, that part has always been the weakest one. And that role used to be filled by so-called reformers like Rouhani, Zarif, and Araghchi, Khatami, people like that. But that most of the people within that camp have been sidelined, and Ghalibaf came and took that role and took the weakest part of the Islamic Republic with no military power, no economic power, and no people power, no soft power, and turned it into the most powerful part of the Islamic Republic with him in charge of it, only because the Americans are using him against everyone else in the Islamic Republic. Because he's now a tool of the Americans, and because of American military might, he has turned into the most powerful person within the Islamic Republic.
Which is exactly why I'm thinking that is his absolute weakness. That is what he used. And that is the way that you take him down. The way you propped him up, you, the US, propped him up. You, the US, can take him down whenever you want. I didn't know that what you said, though, was really, really enlightening, that he is going to take away the economic power of the IRGC and transfer it to whatever a sort of institution he's coming up with. Or maybe he's not coming up with one. Maybe he's just taking advantage of the existing ones as himself as the head. Okay.
Well, another weakness is that if Americans stop supporting him, he's fucked.
He's
Like,
absolutely
he has-
screwed. Whenever.
Whenever Americans stop, like everybody is like bending their knee to him because they think that if they don't, they're going to be on the kill list of the Americans. So what happens when Americans are like, okay, thank you guys for the, I don't know, uranium, bye. And now he's left here and a lot of hungry wolves surrounding him. So this is like a dangerous, this is like a very dangerous game he's playing. Remember, he has no military to back him up inside Iran. He has no economic like control compared to the IRGC and even the Beit Rapari, and nobody fucking likes him. Like he has a small base of support, but beyond that, the anti-regime people want to kill him, and the pro-regime people want to kill him as well. so he has no soft power. The only thing he has right now is the American military threatening anybody that doesn't bend the knee to him. Confetti, I've got confetti.
Okay, so here's what aligns. Ghalibaf's interests are that the American military does not leave the region. The United States' interests are that the United States military does not leave the region. This money, though, Ghalibaf has nothing to rely on except for the United States. He needs to latch his fingers and his nails into something. What could that something be? The money that he gets from the Gulf states, the private companies, but how would he be able to use that to get himself a guarantee? I don't see any way.
Wait, say that again. Ask that question again. And then we go.
Ghalibaf is completely reliant on the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, he's going to start looking for something else to rely on, to be independent, to be safe.
That's a good point, yeah.
So what could that be? It can't be the money, because what would he possibly spend the money on?
So what would you're right. This is too like Ghalibaf would be Ghalibaf, but his situation, he wouldn't want the Americans to go away because they're like, don't leave me here, right? Like, so what can he do? He needs to become in charge of. Okay, so if I was Ghalibaf, I would want the privatization and the loss of control of the IRGC over industries and the economy to be done under my management, so I could basically do favoritism with regards to who in Iran gets what industry and what factories and what shares. So by being corrupt and using my favoritism, I get loyalty from people who would protect me. And I would be too economically influential for anybody to do anything with me. Kind of like when the fall of the Soviet Union and the privatization of what the USSR had owned, and many of the people who were part of the USSR ended up actually becoming the owners of those private companies. So basically it just changed hands from the people in government to now people who are, it created like a really corrupt system of people. The same people who were in charge are still in charge, but under a private system, right? So maybe he's looking for something like that. Yeah, Gandalf agrees with me. It's like, exactly, Armin. So that would be a way for him to maintain control by being in charge of, because he's right now he's using his control to demonstrate that I am the one that you have to deal with. So if we go through an opening of the economy and a privatization, it has to be done under his management. And if it's done under his management, he could use the favoritism to maintain his control.
What could be a possible counter to this? So yes, he gets to pick and choose which one of his friends or his allies get to get which industry and make the most amount of money, which is it's not too different than what the IRGC were doing.
So instead of going from the Soviet Union to a free liberal economy, we will go from the Soviet Union to Putin, for example. We will go to Putin's Russia instead of a free, open society, classical liberal society.
Yes, but where the people from the get-go hate Putin.
Right. You're right. That's a good point. It would not be as stable. It doesn't enjoy Putin's popularity.
I've been thinking for the past few minutes that this is so temporary, what Ghalibaf is doing. It's so shaky. And then I remember just now that, of course, what other choice does he have?
So look at this. Gandalf is saying a KGB plus Soviet officials who were owners of gas, oil, and mining and industry stopped Russia from going towards democracy. Thus Putin. Exactly. That's the danger that we're in.
So the question is he going to draw support from people within the IRGC who are going to be more on his side now and other camps? Or is he going to try and find new allies, pick from the people, from the private sector? Because here's the advantage. If he picked from within the Islamic Republic, his advantage is that they have he has more security with them in the short term. If he picks people from within the people, he has more security long term and none short term.
The private sector is very weak in Iran. There's no you need powerful allies right now,
which is why he has to go towards the IRGC.
Yeah. He needs to say guys, we're doing a controlled demolition. If you want to survive this, so you're right now as high members of IRGC, you have a lot of control over this industry and this industry. We're going through, we have to do this, guys. There's no other way. I know this is sad. I know you're going to have less power and control than before, but would you rather be dead or have zero control? If you want to maintain some of your control and power, walk with me through this, and I'll make sure that you come out at the other end selling control of some factories and some businesses and some industries. It would not be as good as before, and it's sad that we have to compete with the private sector. It's going to be sad that we have to compete with international markets to some degree, but you're still going to be rich and powerful, and you're going to have maintained a lot of shares in big companies and corporations. You'll still be rich and powerful, less than before, but still powerful.
Completely correct. So then that's a dismaying thought. And I'm also thinking the Supreme Leadership Office or other people in IRGC, what is the incentive for them, or how likely is it for them to come out against Ghalibaf when the people come out? So Khamenei's funeral, the division. If enough IRGC people or other people see that there is enough division and they start taking up, against Ghalibaf, one, do you think that's likely to happen? Realistically, and two, what would they do against Ghalibaf if they did?
The pro-regime people?
Yes.
They would just cry and hold signs and we don't like this.
But you don't think anyone within the Islamic Republic will come out and try to oppose Ghalibaf, even if he sees that there's enough support from the regime supporters to do so?
So there are going to be members of parliament and maybe influencers like Raifipur that so there's three types. Okay, the members of parliament from Paidari camp who are going to be told, here's some money, shut the fuck up, and and they're going to say oh, thank you so much, I'll shut the fuck up, right? And then there's another member of parliament or influencer who are pro-Paidari, who are more ideologically motivated and we're no, I'm not going to sell myself for money. And we're okay, shut the fuck up or we'll kill you. And you're like, okay, sorry. And they're going to shut the fuck up, right? And then there's going to be the last remaining people who are going to continue being against Islamic, against Ghalibaf and what's happening for two reasons. One, because they're very ideological and they're not going to be motivated by threats or money. And I think this is a very small group of people. But there's also some other ones who are content creators or influencers who feel left out because they didn't get paid a lot of money, because they're not as important, and they see that there's a huge audience for what the content that they're making against what's happening. So they're thinking like, I actually could have more influence and power and make more money by feeding into this demand that feels ignored. And honestly, I think the Islamic Republic might be like, sure, let's just let some of the smaller ones continue crying about it, just so that there is some release of this. As long as the most influential people shut the fuck up, maybe we could leave some of the smaller ones be a vent, some release measure of like let them just cry it out a little bit using these content. And maybe some of them would actually be done with. Here's the thing: we as the anti-regime people, we have a lot of experience with the regime sometimes coming into our camp and pretending that they're one of us, so that if they can't shut us up, they could at least control it. So I think that it is possible that the regime will actually create its own content creators against itself, So because we have a lot of experience with this over the years, it is possible that just the regime might make some fake pro-Paidari, anti-negotiation, anti-deal influencer and content creators that it's actually paying to speak against the regime, just so that they know if shit hits the fan, everybody's following their people rather than somebody that they don't have control over. So that's another tactic.
Yeah, exactly. And they've done that 100 times before. Okay, so what about when the uranium is diluted?
Say that again.
So 60 days, right? From now until the uranium has to be diluted. We have 60 days.
Right. I mean, they could extend the ceasefire. We don't know.
They can extend it. Of course, with the Islamic Republic dragging their feet during this time, eventually this uranium is going to be dealt with. It's the one red line that President Trump has not moved. What is Ghalibaf's response to that going to be? I mean, I feel like that's such a severe concession. There's no way that even if he consolidates these people that he won't have a big fracture with that, right? Or do you think he can?
Yeah. What's the question again? Like
the uranium's effect, the dilution of the uranium.
Okay. But we don't know if the uranium will be diluted, right? Like we are so far. By the way, like let me just be clear, Ali. Everything I said, I'm not saying any of this would happen. I'm saying this is what the calculation of Ghalibaf. I'm saying if I was Ghalibaf, this would be the plan. This is if I was in a position of Ghalibaf, and I was thinking, how do I survive this? This is the plan I would go with. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it will succeed. Like, guys, we're still at the MOU. We're still not at all close to a deal. We still don't know how any of this will play out. We don't know if there's going to be a sanction relief. This whole $300 billion thing could not happen. The frozen assets, the $24 billion of assets being released could not happen. All of this is up in the air, right? The enriched uranium coming out, not coming out, the Islamic Republic giving in on that or not, all of that is up in the air, right? But what we're discussing right now is that given the current situation right now, what would be the calculation of each one of these players in this Game of Thrones if they were trying to be smart about it? What would they be calculating, right? So, Ali, based on that, your question is if the enriched uranium is removed, if we have a deal, which is a big if, and the Americans manage to get the enriched uranium out, then, okay, so given that if, then what's the question again? Then what would this be the effect on Ghalibaf?
If Ghalibaf has consolidated and done this plan, And if the Americans come into Iran and dilute the uranium, or even take it out, they just deal with the uranium somehow. What is that going to have? What effect is that going to have on Ghalibaf? Is it going to be great?
I would, if I was Ghalibaf, I would prefer that, because that weakens the IRGC, and basically that would be the end of, that would be bringing us closer to the end of IRGC possibly being able to resist this new model of the Third Republic. So I would think that if I was Ghalibaf, I would like, if I'm relying on the Americans, I would want the Americans to have more leverage over IRGC, so that this whole process of Pustando Z, or rebranding of the Islamic, like I'm relying on this new rebranding of the Islamic Republic, right? If I'm Ghalibaf, right? So I'm hoping the IRGC fails and this works. So removing the enriched uranium disarms the IRGC.
In that case, the IRGC, I'm hard pressed to believe that the IRGC are going to sit by and take the blame for this.
The blame, they're already taking the blame for it, because they fully endorsed them. But I would be, if I was the IRGC, it would be very difficult to get me to give up the enriched uranium.
Which is why I'm thinking this backlash that we're seeing right now is nowhere near going to be the backlash that you're going to see down the line when when the talks about the uranium start, and then the action for the uranium also starts. What did Gandalf say?
Oh, Gandalf is saying it really depends on how regime can spin it and do disinformation and lies about it. But the IRGC besieged and regime supporters think Americans are doing it, then Ghalibaf, and then regime is. But if the IRGC besieged and regime supporters think Americans are doing it, then Ghalibaf, and then regime is done. The thing is, the thing is that the IRGC just came out and fully endorsed Ghalibaf, which to me suggests that right now they're moving based on this direction. So Gandalf, what do you think about that? Like, we saw Musavi, Ghani, Abdullahi, and all came out and fully endorsed Ghalibaf and the negotiations.
But I believe that they're endorsing him for the negotiations of the MOU. They didn't say anything about nuclear. I'm thinking when we get to the nuclear thing, that's going to be completely. They might go back. Yeah.
This might be temporary. They might be forced to do this.
Yeah. So my counter to Ghalibaf is that there's going to be people within the Islamic Republic that when we start talking about nuclear and we start actually acting on nuclear, they're going to come out and be like, this is absolutely unacceptable. Starting with the most ideologically driven people first.
Yeah. Everything is based on, material interests right now. The ideological framing of it is the excuse. Everybody, if you look at every single player here, they're all acting based on the objective material interests for their survival and their power. Like, even if you put the ideology completely aside, you could see that the ideology, like, everybody is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing if they were trying to survive and gain maximum power. But then the ideology is just part of the power struggle. Like, it's a tool, right? It can't be a coincidence that the ideology every time becomes like Hassan becomes relevant. Hassan ideology versus Hussein ideology versus Ali's ideology becomes, the narratives of each one of these imams become exactly relevant at the moment when it makes the most strategic sense for each one of these people's personal strategic interests. It cannot be a coincidence. To me, this is proof that the ideology is just a weapon. It's not the goal, right? Everybody's using the ideology as a tool to get to whatever gives them the most power and increases the survival. It's not like, for very few people, even for people within the regime, that the ideology is the goal, they get put in the right part of the system, that their motivation helps that part of the system. You know what I mean? Like you become a cog in the machine, and you might actually individually just focusing on the ideology, but given that your ideology makes you move one dimensionally in this direction, that you will be they will put you in this part of the machine that needs to always go that way. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But the
I know what you
machine
mean.
is always, but each part of this machine separately is always looking for survival and power maximization. Where are you going?
So the people at the top are all coordinated with each other. They know what role they need to play. But the people at the bottom aren't necessarily like that. Gandalf is saying, if regime supporters think Americans are in Iran and taking care of the nuclear dust, diluting it, taking out, the regime takes a heavy blow, and the regime's supporters will lose morale immensely.
So that's why Ghalibaf is trying to figure out how to do a deal with the Americans that requires Americans not coming inside, right? So, or the Americans taking their uranium out. So, for example, this is why you saw a shift of that, a shift in the conversation from Americans taking their uranium out to what if we just diluted here and we're just diluted here in Iran. This is Ghalibaf's trying to save face and reduce the damage that they're gonna make to their, to their soft power or to their standing among the pro-regime Iranians. We should also read the super chats because of it before. See, people have a lot of questions.
Yeah. So here's the thing: Ghalibaf has, as of now, 60 days to do all this. As of
Not
now.
really. They could extend it. They could extend it.
Could.
It's easy. Yeah.
They could, and they might. But at the end of the day, how far can we stretch it without the United States dealing with the uranium? Do you think it'll be just think back to the American internal politics. If before the midterms the uranium is not dealt with, the Democrats are going to say, so you went and started a war where the Strait of Hormuz was already open. Then you started this war, the Strait of Hormuz closed. Now you opened it again. You still didn't get the uranium, and the regime is still in power. That's what they're going to say. That's going to be the Democrat talking point, which I already know the counter is.
The counter is the enriched uranium is under tons and tons of rubble. They can't access it. We're looking at it from the sky. If they try to reach it, we'll fuck them up. We'll bomb the shit out of them. We reduce the power of the Islamic Republic to a significant degree. Them blockading the Strait of Hormuz did nothing to us. Look at the stock market. Look at the job market. And even though the gas prices went up for a while, I managed to immediately bring it back down again within my own naval blockade.
But the question is, are people still going to vote for Republicans when they hear the Democrats' talking points versus the Republicans' talking points? That's what's going to boil down to. It would be such a massive advantage if the uranium was dealt with before the midterms, of course, which I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't think that many Americans care about the enriched uranium coming out. I think, I don't do you guys think they care about it? Like, I think more American. I think President Trump does for good reasons, and I think that's why President Trump took I think one thing you could admire about President Trump is that he wanted to do the right thing with regards to not letting the Islamic Republic becoming nuclear, regardless of what the voter base thinks, right? But I think most Americans would be influenced more by gas prices than whether or not the enriched uranium gets out or not.
Okay, so
they do.
All the ships get out.
Saying they do.
Okay, that's good. So all the ships get out. Oil plummets. Let's just say to like $50 a barrel. Okay, you have all these 1,600 ships get out. The Islamic Republic starts pumping and selling their oil again. All of the Gulf countries suddenly start selling their oils again. The United States has bumped up production. Oil starts coming down. Gas prices are super cheap. Costs are driven low. Inflation goes back down low. Americans are happy. They vote for Republicans. That's one way.
Yeah. So just to be clear, if you go ask an American, do you care about Iran not having a nuclear weapon, they're not going to say no, right? Like, I mean, the vast majority of everyone like, yeah, okay, yeah, like I don't want the Islamic Republic to have a nuclear weapon. So if you ask them in polling, it shows that the majority of them cares. But like, how much do they care? Like, is it on their mind? Is it like a priority in their life? So it's pretty easy to believe that the vast majority of the Americans, if it's like, hey, would you like a nuclear Islamic Republic, or would you like it if the Islamic Republic doesn't have nuclear weapon? Or like, I go with the second option every single fucking time, like obviously, right? But like when it comes to prioritizing, I think that is overwhelming. I agree that overwhelmingly they're going to be like, yeah, please no nuclear bombs from crazy jihadi fuckers, right? Thank you very much. But I think when it comes to priority, like purchasing power and affordability is way higher under mine compared to
the nuclear. Yeah. Quick question. Can you see this happening? Right now, we're going to have a period of time where it's going to be a lull. It's going to be quiet on both sides. No heavy fighting, maybe limited strikes, dragging their feet about the nuclear, everything, okay? The talks continue. The midterms happen and they're done. And after that, things kick off, most likely. During this period of lull, we have this thing that happens where the Islamic Republic has consolidated under Ghalibaf, and they're going to deal with the aftershocks politically of this consolidation. At the same time, the Americans have low gas prices. People get happy again. So then everything points, just logically speaking, which I mean, we've tried to apply to this past 6 months and it oftentimes doesn't work, but logically speaking, after the midterms is the most amount of sense for things to start escalating.
Escalating? You think it will escalate after the midterms?
Logically, my brain is telling me that that's the case, but I also know that the same logic that I've used has not always been right in the past few months because things have taken left, right, upward, down.
So here's the thing. We always have to remind ourselves one thing. Israel is still a thing, okay? And Israel is not going to let the Islamic Republic get away with this stuff. You know, at the end of the day, Israel is not going to stop. And it will continue attacking the Islamic Republic until there's no Islamic Republic. And also the Iranian people. But the Iranian people are not armed, right? So
Correct.
Whether the United States goes to back to military operations against the Islamic Republic or not, it might. You know, President Trump constantly says, like, you know, if I'm not happy, I'm going to bomb the shit out of these people, right? Which is good to hear. But whatever President Trump is doing with the Islamic Republic, it's weakening the IRGC. Okay, it's weakening the IRGC. We're moving in that direction. And we might get Americans attacking the Islamic Republic. We might not. But Israel will be attacking. And we will have a weaker IRGC.
Because during this whole time, Israel and Hezbollah are going to go at it. They're not, like, Israel's not privy to this MOU or deal.
Israel is going to go directly at IRGC again at some point.
Because the IRGC will respond because they're hitting Hezbollah. Yeah, it's going to be a never-ending cycle.
No, I mean, they're going to go directly to Iran and going to attack. You know, that's going to be for sure. Like Israel will still do attacks on the Islamic Republic on Iranian soil.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is that Israel and Hezbollah are going to keep on fighting. Islamic Republic is going to send missiles to Israel or something. Israel is going to hit the IRGC directly.
Yeah.
I don't see that loop breaking.
Yeah. I mean, they promised to do that with or without Hezbollah. You know what I mean? Like they have.
Yeah.
We do need to do the super chats before they go.
Yeah, we do. Right. We have Sarato Hosoda, thank you, who says, Trump's comment on the strategic oil reserves confirmed my theory that pushing a half-assed MOU through is all about reopening the strait. Yes, drive oil prices low, benefits both the Islamic Republic and the United States and the whole world. Buys time. Yeah. Absolutely. I think he said he only had like 4 million barrels left or something, which is the lowest. Oh no, he would have ran out in 4 weeks, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
And Sarata followed that up by saying, Ghalibaf posing as the Trump whisperer, but he is the Trojan horse that will ultimately destroy the Islamic Republic. Yeah, except, you know, they're going to abuse, the United States and Israel are going to abuse Ghalibaf because, wow. I mean, if Ghalibaf gets to execute his plan, he would have more political power than the supreme leader, like the previous supreme leader.
But you know, I like what Sadata is saying, though. I mean, he wouldn't have. He would only have the power that the United States would lend him. I like
As
this
long as they're
framing
there.
of it. You know what? You know, Ali. Now that Sadata, are you still here? Now that Sadata is saying this here, to me, you know, think about how clever this could be if it actually works, right? This is President Trump destroying the Islamic Republic from the inside using Ghalibaf. Like, instead of continuously bombing IRGC, you have an actual infiltrator within the Islamic Republic, weakening, going around and telling people, giving information to the Americans and making the right threats for the right people to give in, and slowly eat away from IRGC's power from the inside.
Not only him. Remember when I said earlier, this opens up space for more infiltrations? At every level. At every level, there's going to be infiltrations.
I mean, Ghalibaf is moving against the IRGC. It's pretty obvious. He wants to weaken the IRGC, and it's cheaper and more efficient to do this from the inside using these tactics than, you know, constantly bombing IRGC and also having all of this instability around the Persian Gulf.
Absolutely.
And having, yeah.
Absolutely. So if this is correct, the Islamic Republic is going to die the same way they were born. Which is, you know, now that I think about it, like, I mean, that's what I was trying to kind of get at, because I was like, look, this.
I'm not saying it will work. I'm just saying if this works, which is a big if, it would be pretty genius.
This is all if, right? You come here to hear us theorize based on actual tangible stuff. So this is something that can be happening. We're going to look for every indicator to see if that actually happens.
I mean, if you can't bomb the IRGC to submission, having somebody from their own inside go talk to them and say, like, listen, this is the only way because we're bankrupt, so you have to submit to me, and I'm submitting to the Americans. That does make a lot of sense.
Create a problem for them, and then give them the solution, and pick the person in the Islamic Republic who you can most abuse. You have the most leverage over Ghalibaf. Okay, guys, I'm confused. Is what's coming out saying that this electronic signature that was done right now, again, for some reason, is the final signature? There's no meeting on Friday in Switzerland, and also, oh wait. Oh wait. Okay, like, let's watch this.
Israel.
Sorry, move that. And then let me hide that real quick. Okay, guys, what? What is this?
And it doesn't sound like he wants to answer a question about Israel.
Yep.
He said it.
The stories made in
It's signed. It's signed. It's signed. Okay. So no Friday
it
meeting,
signed?
I'm guessing?
Was it signed but is at a ceremonial signing or just digitally?
No, it's digital.
We don't know yet. Like, wait for the report.
No, I mean, physically it's impossible because Ghalibaf was giving speeches.
Oh, so we're
And
not going to
Trump was
have a
having
signing
dinner with Macron.
ceremony. Oh yeah, so we're not going to have a signing ceremony. Well, we don't know if we will. It would be better if we did, but we'll see. So we had 2 digital signing and no signing ceremony. We'll see. Let's wait for, because this is not a very, like, just that is not going to tell us much. So let's wait before we figure out what's actually happening.
Yeah, they're definitely going to come out and say, look, we're not going to sign in Switzerland. They're going to confirm that, if that's actually the case. Because that's
If
what
that's
everyone's
actually the
thinking.
case. Let's just wait until things happen before we wonder about what's going to happen. I think this is one thing that we have to keep reminding people. Judge things based on how things are rather than how things could be.
Including your romantic partner.
Oh my God. Okay. Where did that come from? Okay.
But
All right, let's go through the
thanks, Haruto.
comments.
And Roya Jun, who says, so did Israel and the US. By the way, Saoja brings up good points. Roya Jun, saying, so did Israel and the US find an in to start the war with Ghalibaf, knowing from the beginning what was going to take place so he could be in power? Not from the beginning. I think they really did at one point want to use Ahmadinejad because he is so vastly popular with the poor people, the peasants. But no, it seems like Ghalibaf was the moderate, reasonable, rational person that they've been referring to for a couple months.
I think they were just like looking for anybody that could explain to the rest of the Islamic Republic that we have leverage over you and you have to capitulate to us. I think Americans at some point were frustrated with why there are not enough people within the Islamic Republic that understand that they need to capitulate instead of keep fighting. And eventually they found, they were like, they kept on killing people. They kept on talking to people and told them, like, listen, you're going to die if you don't capitulate. And like, they didn't capitulate, they killed them. And then went to the next layer. People are like, okay, you're going to die if you don't capitulate. And then they killed them. And then you're like, okay, now it's your turn. And they found their guy. I think it wasn't pre-planned. They were just looking around and killing people who didn't capitulate until somebody did.
Okay, so now the terms of this deal should be released.
Ooh.
It's signed. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if they release it.
Let's not read the text if it's by CNN, Axios, some Twitter account. Let's just read it when it's posted by President Trump or the White House. Okay, let's only
the White House.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Also, for you, you guys saying that TC read the MOU, it has not been released yet.
We're not going to trust anything until we see it from the source.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, Roya Jun and Joanne saying that, have you guys heard from Patipta in the last few days? Yeah, he was on Iran Revolution Live today.
And he was in a discussion group with people talking to people. Guys, the discussion group, the link is in the chat. The link pinned to the chat is in the QR code at the top left. and in the description. So
Yeah.
Potipta comes
So
there
if you guys
often.
click on that link or scan that QR code, it'll send you to our school website. All you got to do is just click on the calendar. Like just sign up and then find the calendar, click on the calendar. You'll see
Yeah,
all of the
he's there
discussions.
often. He's there often. You could instead of listening to him, you could actually talk to him in our discussion group.
Yeah. And thanks, Joanne. We got Sarah Yu here saying Harir AB. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
No. U.S. boots getting uranium and Israel hidden base not hidden. What's the path to Iranians overthrowing before the
it's
uranium
an air base.
complete?
It's an air base in Iraq, I think.
Before the uranium caper is complete. I mean, there's nothing that dictates that we have to overthrow the regime before the uranium is complete. It might even help us to wait.
Wait, you use boots getting uranium and Israel hidden base, not hidden. So there was I think you're referring to a hidden Israeli base that was in Iraq that was discovered earlier. What's the path to Iranians over destroying before the uranium? So the path to Iranian overthrowing before and after any event is, in my opinion, arming the Iranian people under the direction and with coordination of Prince Reza Pahlavi and his team. Getting the uranium out from inside Iran using force seems, I assume that it's too complicated of a job for the Americans to want to do, and I ended up being correct about that because President Trump confirmed that they considered it and they saw it that it was too complicated and risky, so they didn't do it.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
And Shauna from our discussion group is saying, I think Ali is correct. Sandstorm season over, midterms over, time to build up America's supply. Yes. On the same day, Sunday, guys, listen to this. Sunday, President Trump electronically signed the MOU for the first time. And he also gave an order to Pete Hegseth, the Department of War, to start full on go build up our munitions, build all of our missiles, interceptors, just go in, build as many as you need, stock up on as many as you need. And that's not a short-term thing, so yeah, good point, Sean. I actually forgot to mention that today. Thank you. And Vashi is saying, just imagine this is all the game, and when they went to Switzerland, American Special Forces capture Ghalibaf and take him directly to the United States. And, in fact, Prince Reza Pahlavi is in Europe. Imagine him actually showing up and personally arresting Ghalibaf and slapping him in the face.
But actually, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? People were hoping for a red wedding kind of situation. So you have everybody in Switzerland, and there's music, and people are eating and drinking, and then JD Vance is trying to get a signature done with Ghalibaf, and he's not in on it. And then all of a sudden, the music stops, and there's blood everywhere, and the door opens, and Rubio walks in, and then goes to Ghalibaf's, dying body, and goes to his next to his ear and says, "BB sends his regards," and then that would be like, there we go.
And the season's over.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish. And Nekama says, haha, true Ali, never date potential, only reality. Yeah, I had a lot of trouble with that personally.
Wait, never date potential, only reality? Okay.
Yeah, don't pay attention to how they're actually treating you right now rather than the potential you think that person has in the future.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so true. Jesus Christ. I can change them. My God, what delusion.
Or it'll get better, yeah. I mean,
It will get better.
I don't know about that.
I'll fix them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
And so true. And we have Tosha saying Trump at Versailles equals the Treaty of Versailles, symbolic. Technically, if this is it, then yes, this is the new Treaty of Versailles.
Are we heading for World War III after this? If that's the case, or maybe
I think
I'm
we're
sorry.
probably
I'm
already in
sorry. I mean World War 12. I've lost count.
Mm,
Yes, sir.
yeah. We're probably already in the beginning stages of World War III. Sorry, don't mean to alarm anyone, by the way. Anyway,
I think we're heading. I think we're heading for more of a Cold War.
yeah, with the recent actions of this year, probably. And Bashi again, who says they haven't signed it on Sunday. They just agreed verbally. Supposed to go to Switzerland on Friday, but they signed it digitally tonight to patch. I thought they did sign it digitally on Sunday. That's what I heard.
This is the patch under they they digitally signed it, but this is a new patch on the previous signature.
It's like when you get hit with like a 30 gigabyte update, and you're like, I just want to play my game.
Yeah.
And thanks,
Oh
Bashi.
yeah, Texas Trooper agrees with me on Cold War 2. Yeah, people are waiting for World War 3. I think people. Oh, Javid as well. Texas Troop. I think we're not heading to World War 3. I think we're heading to Cold War 2.0, like Javid and Texas Troop are saying. I agree with that.
Who are the proxies, though? Anyway, and Lior says, "Oh, with a little flag with the puppy. The flag wasn't there before." Who says, "I miss you guys. Oh my God, Ali has ears. Love y'all." Yep.
Yay! Why do you have only one earpiece?
I was telling you, if I plug in the other one, the audio starts cutting in and out. And I was looking for hours. Yeah, I tried every solution under the sun, and apparently the solution was a completely stupid solution. It was literally just keep one in and keep one out. I don't know why.
Okay.
I did everything. I was like updating drivers. I'm like deleting the blue. Like I'm doing all these things, and I was just like, wait, what if I just? And it worked. I was like, I don't know. But people were so shocked. I did not expect that. I mean, I guess it made a big difference on how I looked.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shauna again, who says, if America solves its fertilizer issue as well, we could be unstoppable. Jobs galore, and it reduces inflation. Team Cold War II, by the way. We have a fertilizer issue?
As
far as I know,
I think that's too old time. I think United States power will come from AI and robotics and heavy industries like aviation, like big giant industries that the rest of the world doesn't. I think fertilizer stuff and the private market will figure that out. I think United States is its advantage in the upcoming Cold War is not going to be reliant on fertilizer and stuff like that. I think it's going to mostly be over its access to energy, its access to rare earth minerals, it being ahead in AI and robotics, and also it dominating gigantic industries that no other country can compete with. No other country could actually even come close, like very specialized heavy capital industries that only US private companies could afford. If you have that, you have all the tools necessary to do whatever fix whatever fertilizer problems that you're having. Like, trust me, you're not going to have a problem with fertilizers if you're that ahead in AI, robotics, access to energy, rare earth minerals, and giant industries that requires a lot of specialty that only Americans have at a high degree, and requires a lot of capital that only Americans have at a large degree. You're going to be so ahead that whatever shortages you have in any area will be fixable.
Yeah, thanks, Jana. And
Thank you,
Raphael, who says, when asked about Iran's missiles, Trump said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yeah, he's also said a lot of things, like going back to the whole, like, just, questionable things that he's been saying. So I'm not really putting too much weight on that, because, like,
I mean, I would very clearly say I completely disagree. Like, we have to make it clear that that's a statement that I do not agree with. So whatever President Trump, we might say like, oh, well, this is a 5D chess plan, or he said that because he's playing mind games with the Islamic Republic. That might be the case, or it might not be. But whether it is or not, I do have to. I think it's important to point out there's a difference between the Islamic Republic and Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia is not threatening United States and Europe and the entirety of the Middle East with missiles, and the Islamic Republic is. So,
yeah, it's such a ridiculous statement that I'm going to chalk it up to ridiculous, lightly put.
And we both, me, Ali, and I say that as people who appreciate how much President Trump has weakened the Islamic Republic, and how much, like, we always say that with that in mind, that President Trump has done more than any other president to weaken the Islamic Republic. But obviously, that's not going to make us not say, when we see a statement that we disagree with, we're going to say that we disagree with that.
Yeah, you guys want to listen to something he said? Let's listen to this. It's like 5 seconds or 20 seconds. Okay.
If we didn't do this deal, we could have dropped more bombs for another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 years. You would never have the Hormuz Strait open. You would never have success. Your market would have, instead of going up at levels that nobody's ever seen before, would go down at levels that nobody ever saw before, maybe except for 1929 or whatever. If we didn't do this deal.
Like, that's also ridiculous, right? Like, you're the United States of America. You didn't give in to the pressure that the Islamic Republic had with the Strait of Hormuz. Like, if you really want to, you can open that thing up. You are the United States of America. So it's kind of like things like that I'm like, I'm trying to chalk it up to.
I actually don't know about if I disagree with him too much. There are parts of it that I disagree with. I don't know if that's one of them. The United States is like the absolute most powerful military force on the planet, but there are limitations to what military power could do. There are limitations. There are, people don't understand. Like, sometimes the military, Israel's military, or United States military, does certain things that we find unbelievably incredible and unimaginable, and then we get the idea that, okay, therefore everything can be done, and we don't understand that, like, no, there are limits. Like, even with that much force, there are certain limitations that just are not easy. Like, you cannot just, I mean, like, the United States military for 20 years in Afghanistan couldn't get rid of the Taliban, and that's not because the United States military is weak. That's because it's complicated shit, right? Israel has one of the most, I think the second best military on the planet, when it comes to efficiency and power, and intelligence and everything. Okay, but they have been fighting Hezbollah for 47 years, and Hezbollah is still around, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not an all-out war. They're being surgical. They care about the human population.
Right. So,
it's complicated.
Things is complicated. Yeah.
I just wish that he would have used different words, right? So when I see or hear things like that, I'm not going to mull over every single word he says. Sometimes I'm just going to be like, okay, he should have said that differently. He didn't, whatever. I'm just going to let it go. Like he could have just said, hey, we could have opened the strait if we wanted to. He could have said that instead of being like, oh yeah, we had to because, they had leverage with the strait. I don't like them pushing up the IRGC like that. That's not whatever.
I mean, again, it could be his way of, playing nice with this new people in charge as a way to make them feel like they're safe or whatever. There might be a lot of different reasons why he's saying that. But just because it might have a good intended purpose, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't correct it, at least to our audience, right?
Absolutely. And Shauna saying Ukraine, United Arab Emirates, and the Philippines and Taiwan are the proxies of World War III. UAE.
Ooh.
I can see the Philippines.
Philippines would be USA proxy, and Vietnam, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan. Yeah, Taiwan is already there.
Yeah, I mean Philippines. Yeah, you could just put some missile launchers on any one of those 1,000 islands, and
no, I mean United States already has military bases in the Philippines, and they do a lot of military exercises with each other.
Yeah, but the military bases are very visible. But if you want to take the Strait of Hormuz lesson, what you can do is you can just put a bunch of launchers and drones on, just random islands and hidden places, and that's it. What Chinese ship is ever going to be able to pass through there or get to the Strait of Malacca?
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly if launchers would be the best thing, but I know that Philippines and one thing I do know, Japan is moving closer and closer to the Philippines when it comes to military exercises against Chinese China. And I think most of the military exercises are not launchers, are basically naval exercises. So it's mostly naval exercises around that area. And United States relies on many countries around there, Philippines included. But Japan is becoming a little bit worried about United States backing off from this area. So, but I think United States is doing actually a great thing because it's encouraging them to work with each other. So Japan and Philippines are now working with each other a lot more, which is, it's kind of like, United States is kind of like a mom, and Japan and Philippines, I'm not going to help you. You have to figure this out. And then she's looking through the door and watching them like, okay, let's figure this out together. And she's watching like, yes, exactly. That's what, you know what I mean? Like it's trying to encourage them to just become more independent and work with each other. So like, yeah, I'm leaving here. You guys are on your own. But then it's watching them grow. And like, I'm secretly saying, I'm so proud of you.
Or they finally moved out, and then I can finally rent my rooms.
Yeah. No, but I think a lot of people think that the Trump administration is abandoning Ukraine, is abandoning Taiwan, is abandoning Israel. But long term, I think the impact might actually be positive for Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine, because the current drive in Israel, for example, and in Taiwan, and in Japan, and in Ukraine is like, we need to become more self-reliant. So short term, it might make them, not even short term, Ukraine is kicking ass. But short term, it might be devastating. But long term, it's going to make these countries stronger. I mean, that's what President Trump is doing with NATO as well. Encouraging more countries to be like Poland.
Yeah. And, Ukraine's going to be a regional superpower after this, if they're not nuked.
This guy. I like this person in the chat, pro IRGC person, just losing his mind, trying to get their attention. Shana saying, I agree with Armin, but it's going to be a rough ride. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And Deborah saying, please pronounce Nekema's name correctly.
Nehma. Nechma.
Oh,
Nechma. I think Nehma it would be the Arabic / Persian, but if it's a Hebrew name, then the ch would be khe, right? Nechma. Okay.
I think so.
Next time.
Nechma.
I'll try to remember. Nehma or Nechma.
Okay. And thanks, Deborah, for the clarification. We got Lou and Kay saying, hi again, Armin and Ali. Durud, I was watching 2C TV. MOU has been signed. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, we heard it from Trump saying, yes, we signed it.
Crazy. I wonder if they're still going to have that in-person one. We'll see. And thanks, Lou. And Shauna, who says, for building wealth, yes, robotics, etc. For working class jobs and feeding Americans so they stay engaged, fertilizers. You can't eat rare earth. We also can't eat if you don't make money.
Well, you can't. Okay, but you can buy fertilizers. So here's the thing, Shauna. I believe in private. I believe in, I believe in free trade, right? And free markets. I think that fertilizers, if it needs to be, I think governments should not touch it. If it needs to be internally made, it will be internally be made. If it's more efficient to get it from somewhere else, then the Americans will get it somewhere else. As long as you are rich enough to be able to go to buy it, then let it be made wherever is the most efficient. Unless you could somehow make an argument that this is a security concern, which historically food, right now I think like security concerns are more stuff that you could be used in the military and intelligence gathering. If your economy is big enough, then wherever is the most efficient to get your food or your fertilizer from, it's actually more cost efficient to let the private market dictate that, rather than making a top-down interest by the decision made by the elite or the government, right? So I know you're saying it's a security concern. So work through this with me. How, if the American consumers, you might be correct. I'm actually interested to know if the American consumers have really high purchasing power and they want fertilizers, how could America's enemies stop the Americans how could they stop them from buying it from other places? Like, do we have one of America's enemies that has monopoly over, or like so much control over fertilizers in a way, for example, that China has dominance over rare earth metals? Like, what are the sources of fertilizers globally, and does Russia or China have so much dominance over, like, let's say 80% of the sources? Because if not, then as long as the Americans are rich, they will be able to buy it. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that would. So you're saying we get them from Russia and the Middle East and Canada. And you think Canada will one day refuse to sell it to the Americans? And the Middle East is mostly so which parts of the Middle East? I think you also get it from Ukraine, don't you? Maybe I'm wrong about this. So most of the countries in the Middle East are not, and like other than the Islamic Republic, there are not countries in the Middle East are countries that are economically intertwined with the United States economy. So they're not going to stop trading with the United States. So among all of this, it's Russia that you need to worry about. Canada, like remember, United States has more leverage over Canada and countries in the Middle East and the other way around. So it's not like Canada could refuse to sell fertilizers to United States. United States will fuck them up with, like, United States could fuck up Canada's economy way more than Canada to United States. right? So, I mean, I understand Canada might sell to China, but again, America's purchasing power is way higher than Chinese purchasing power. So it's not like it's even a competition. So if any, so I think from all of this is Russia that would be the concern, and I don't think China has that much dominance over global, the supply of fertilizers in the same way that China has control over rare earth minerals. I think we have to be very careful because with excuses for getting the government involved in messing up with the supply and demand, like we have to, I understand that some things are, I think people are too loose with the definition of this being a security issue, right? And I think we have to use that excuse for the government to come and change the balance of supply and demand very rarely. Because honestly, if we're loose with it, anything could be argued to be a security issue. Like almost everything that Americans buy and sell, I could argue that, oh, this is actually a security issue. And I think that it should, that excuse that this is a security issue, so the government has to actually come and limit the trade of it, or that or maybe bringing it internally and making it domestic, should be reserved for the absolute minimum rare cases where it's really a security issue. And I don't think fertilizers at all make it to that level. I do think rare earth minerals make it to that level, and I do think chips, advanced chips, so need to be brought inshore to the United States from Taiwan. That is definitely a security concern. Rare earth minerals, China has too much dominance over it. Chips, too much of it is made in Taiwan. It needs to be made in the United States. But I don't see that for fertilizers. But I could be wrong. But anyways, we should go to the other comments.
Yeah. No worries. And Sarah, you saying Occam's razor, boots on the ground to dilute uranium under that cover with Israel and U.S. boots in Iraq. Would it be enough support for armed Iranians?
So let me read that again. It's Occam's razors. Occam razor. Occam's razor is basically means that the most simple explanation is the most likely one. The explanation that you have to with the least number of assumptions is the most probable one. That's what Occam's razor is, right? So let's see. Boots on the ground to dilute uranium under that cover with Israel and U.S. boots in Iraq. Would it be enough to support for armed Iranians? So boots on the ground to dilute uranium will be in the middle of Iran with IRGC surrounding you, and it would be not enough force. So think about this: when the United States invaded Iraq, you needed hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground. Like if you're saying boots on the ground to dilute the uranium, are we talking about numbers that will force this upon the Islamic Republic, or we're tricking them with a deal and then sending boots on the ground to? Because if there is a deal, then the Islamic Republic would not accept tens of thousands, let alone hundreds of thousands of boots on the ground. That wouldn't seem like there has been any deal. And if you are forcing it upon the Islamic Republic, then that is the most complicated military/engineering operations in history that will put a lot of Americans at risk. And I don't think President Trump or the American voters have any appetite for that, right? So I don't think that will work. I don't think that it's not like you have these soldiers at the southern Iranian shore with all of the American Navy in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman defending them with air power. You're saying like right in the middle of Iran, so far away from the Persian Gulf, surrounded by IRGC, that's basically sending American soldiers there to die, if that was the plan. So using Occam's razor, that seems unlikely.
Agreed with that one. Thanks, Sarah. And we have Lior, who says, now that the MOU is signed, on a scale from 1 to we're screwed, how screwed are we exactly? Not very. Not very, Lior. Read this. So in 2024, the United States Congress passed a provision. And in that provision, they put the IRGC on the terrorist list. Okay. So now you have to waive that restriction to actually make a final peace deal with the IRGC. In order to do that, you need the majority. You need the House and the Senate to pass. You need the majority to do it. So that is still another obstacle. You need Republicans to vote for this. You need the majority of Republicans to vote for removing the IRGC from the terror list. That is still something that needs to happen. Or you find a loophole and get around that. That's just one of the many, many issues that you have to get through with. Also, uranium, charging fees on the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. People are going to break this. They're going to break this on both sides.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. We'll see. Yeah, guys, nothing has happened until it happens. The MOU doesn't make the things that is written in the MOU actually happen. It actually has to happen before we could judge them.
Yeah. And Shauna saying the government is heavily involved with agriculture already, Armin. We don't really have free trade in agriculture.
Yeah, and that's why food prices could be lower. That's why actually that's a good point, because one security issue, if you're worried about security, is prices. Food prices. Lowering your food prices improves security within your nation, and also having a population that has high purchasing power is also good for security. It brings stability. So if you had more free trade within your agriculture, that would reduce food prices. That would improve stability within society, because that would improve affordability, and that is good for security. So in fact, people argue that, we have to have a government involved in agriculture for food security. I don't see how you improve food security by having the government involved, which messes with the supply and demand balance and increases the prices of your food. Food security improves when you actually have lower price of food, not higher price of food. And it's an economic fact that whenever the government gets involved with an industry, the prices of the goods in that industry increases. So in my opinion, you're reducing food security by having the government involved. But I'm a free market capitalist, so what do I know? I'm too much of a capitalist. Maybe I'm biased. It's my bias for capitalism. I'm free trade speaking. Guys, we have to be careful, because guys, we might be flirting with turning into isolationists if we keep talking about security, and get the government involved in different markets for the sake of security. We might actually turn into isocox. Sorry, Shana, but yeah.
Shehbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, has released a statement. There's two key things I wanted to show you before we left, real quick. But we have a super chat by Roman Viking saying, "Rise, Colombia! Colombia, brave and free, poise the globe, bound the sea, revered in arms, in peace humane, no shore nor realm shall bound thy sway."
Oh, that's so nice. Cuba Libre. Cuba Libre. That is nice. I like that. That was beautiful.
That's a good poem.
Wow. That was beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Can you read that again? One more time.
Yeah. Rise, Colombia, Colombia, brave and free, poise the globe and bound the sea. Revered in arms,
find a word for Colombia.
No shore nor realm shall bound thy sway.
What do we do? What do we say for equivalent of Cuba Libre? But anyways, I'll find that.
Thanks, Roman Viking. Rise, Colombia. I like that one. And Nethma says, as of 2026, 14 U.S. states have made human co-posting legal, with 12 more states pending legalization, which means human bodies can be used as fertilizer. I'm only bringing up because fertilizer was mentioned. I didn't know that. Interesting. I wonder how that works. Like, do you like sign up for that? Do you buy the bodies or what? I don't know. Anyway, thanks, Nachma. That's lovely. Truly.
Wait. I can't find the phrase like Cuba Libre for Colombia. Maybe because they're already free. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, so there's two things in this. So this is Shehbaz Sharif. And this is really interesting. Okay. So Pakistan is saying that the memorandum, the MOU, was signed by the presidents of both countries. So we saw Trump sign it, like that was actually on recording. But he's saying that Pezeshkian signed it on the other end.
What?
He's saying the memorandum has been signed by presidents of both the countries and endorsed by me as the mediator. That's what Pakistan's saying. So Pezeshkian and Trump signed this, not Ghalibaf and JD Vance.
And why does it keep switching around? What are we doing?
Yeah.
See, we told you guys nothing is happening until it happens. Because we keep
crazy.
telling the memorandum has been signed by honorable presidents of both countries and also endorsed by me. So oh my god, they're actually throwing Pezeshkian under the bus like we.
Yeah. So they're using him. But here's the thing. So it was signed by Trump and Pezeshkian. And then he's saying, I also express my profound respect and appreciation to His Eminence Ayatollah Sayyid Mujtaba Hosseini Khamenei, the Supreme Leader, and President Masoud Pezeshkian for their, he praises them. And I also wish to recognize the efforts of the Iranian negotiating team of Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Araghchi, and Momeni. So he's primarily thanking Pezeshkian for this.
Okay, we need to go back to the picture of Pezeshkian right now. So we're going back to this. Oh no. Save Pezeshkian. Guys, hashtag free Pezeshkian. They're gonna blame everything on him. Poor.
My God.
Oh no.
Huh. Wow, he really did just get thrown under the bus there. Okay.
Ghalibaf is like, yeah, we're gonna do this, but you're gonna have your name on it. We'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, if Pezeshkian signs this and Ghalibaf doesn't, Ghalibaf has managed to get the least amount of damage and the most amount of gain in all of this. Like he's planning all of this and he's not even putting his name on it.
But they agreed. The U.S. agreed to that. They know that Pezeshkian's nothing.
Yeah, they're trying to. They're helping. If this is what's happening, we'll see. They might be helping Ghalibaf save face. They're basically, yeah. You know,
Yeah, that is a pretty good
you have to give
indicator.
it. Yeah, you have to give it to Ghalibaf. He played his cards well so far. He's
far.
enemy number one right now.
So far, man, I really wish, but to save face for Ghalibaf and to not have this sort of leverage over him, saying that, oh yeah, you signed this. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter too
Well,
much because he's
they wonder
he's
they
being
wonder
the face.
is their puppet. They don't want their puppet to burn.
Yeah, and he
They
is
still have
vocally being very forward about it. So
Yeah, I mean, if the Americans, if they have still use for him, you know, they need to help him save face, or else he will be eaten alive internally. And then who they're gonna deal with? I mean, imagine if they lose Ghalibaf, then they have like who would be? They have nobody.
yeah. They always have Ghani.
Oh my god! Wow, guys. By the way, Pezeshkian ended up being so useful. This is why many people think that it was the Islamic Republic who killed Raisi to bring Pezeshkian in power to prepare for days like this. Wait, what was
Okay.
the super chat? I didn't see this. Human bodies can be used as fertilizer? What the hell? As if legal with 12 more states? What the hell? Okay, didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. Wait, what's your name? Necham. I pronounced it properly this time. Ali is confused. Ali is thinking. Ali is doing, trying to solve this puzzle.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the terms of the memorandum. Some people are saying that a U.S. White House official read it out to reporters, but there's no official document that has been released yet. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is just noise.
Here, go to, you know where you should go? You should go to rapid response.
The White House released a video of them signing it. So yeah, this is confirmed.
Show.
Here we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump.
It's physical.
This is the White House official.
Wait, so are we do we have a physical signing by Pezeshkian as well? Can we get the video of that? Oh my god. Look at this. When Macron was signing, go back a little bit. Look at this. When Macron was shaking Rubio's hands, Rubio wasn't even looking at him in the face. Look at that. Can you go back again? Look at that, guys. Look at this. Is American dominance. The president of France reaches out to the foreign minister of the United States, and Marco Rubio is like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Let me get back to my president. Look at that. Can you look? He is reaching out for him, and Rubio is not even looking at him in the eye. And you're like, yeah, thank you. Yeah, but wow. Wow.
Marco hasn't been looking too happy lately.
Yeah, and Macron looks too happy. Look at them. He's too Marco is on our side and he doesn't look happy, and Macron is against us and he looks happy. So that's not a good sign.
Yeah. Here's all. Okay, so the White House press pool reports account has said that an official read the deal to reporters, but the print text has not been released. But these 14 points are the same thing that we've been seeing on social media. So yeah, I'm just gonna still wait. I'm waiting for tomorrow or the day after when it's signed. Release it. You said. And
oh,
we
I need to go.
have-
So let's read the last super chat.
okay,
And
the last one
you,
by Jeffrey. Says
hi,
the MOU
Jeffrey.
Hey, Jeffrey. It says the MOU/operational pause due to the United States and IDF needing to restock defensive munitions, regime remnants getting backfilled by Putin, Chinese and Putin, Chicoms, increased aggression in Europe and Taiwan. Okay, so the MOU is due to the US and IDF restocking defensive munitions. Yes, they did issue the order to do that. And regime remnants are getting backfilled by Putin and Chicoms. So they're getting put on the back burner and like not on the priority list. Is that what he means?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Chicoms has increased
Yep.
their aggression in Europe and Taiwan.
Is that what backfield means?
Is that what backfilled means, guys?
I don't know what that backfield means. China comes and increase aggression in Europe and Taiwan. Is he saying that they're focusing their attention on somewhere else and not helping the Islamic Republic, or the opposite?
Oh, backfilling is the process of refilling a hole.
Okay.
So the regime is getting help by Russia and China.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody's using this. So Jeffrey's saying everybody is using this period to just fill up their missing pieces.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're gonna go back to boom booms when after the midterms.
Yeah, Jeffrey, tell us.
He's gonna go like, I don't know, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well-
but I mean, the Americans restocking on defense munitions, and the Islamic Republic. Here's the problem: the Islamic Republic is really broke. So, and I think people don't understand how broke they are. Like it's not just the blockade; it's not just the Operation Economic Fury. The military operations and during the Operation Epic Fury paralyzed a lot of the industries, especially the steel industry, for example, inside Iran. So Americans are going to have a much better, easier job recovering their, their defense systems than the Islamic Republic is going to be when it comes to recovering on their offensive. So we'll see.
Agreed. Okay.
Yeah, so Texas Troop is also making a good point, saying both the IRGC and politicians camp will claim the MOU is non-binding because Pezeshkian has no authority. Yeah, guys, both sides of this could basically do whatever they want. The MOU is just like symbolic. Like everybody,
It's not binding anyway.
It is not binding anyways on both sides, and we could only judge based on what actually happens rather than what the MOU says. And yeah, I mean, if they go with it, they're gonna blame it on Pezeshkian. If they don't go with it, and like, well, fuck Pezeshkian, like, who cares? True.
Yep. Let's see what happens
the
in the
MOU
next
is not a
24
deal.
hours.
24 hours. It's gonna be.
Let's see if they release the terms.
It's gonna be really, really bumpy, guys. So
Yep.
put on your seatbelts. We're gonna have a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and we're gonna be here for a while. So
I was thinking, I've been fantasizing about this recently. What if I was just like a Superman, like I had Superman's powers, and I could literally just go in and eliminate the IRGC myself, like with my bare hands, every single one of them, and then And any country that wanted to threaten Iran, I would just be like, I'm Superman, you know, don't touch us. I think I dreamt about that last night, actually.
You dreamt about that? Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a dream people would have at your age.
The second part of my dream was me at a cliffside overlooking the ocean, and I'm like maybe like a mile up in the air. It's like one of those dream things, right? And I'm just like, shut up. Anyway, my dream was very very bipolar dream.
Oh, we got another Jeffrey.
Jeffrey has said, Phase 1 conventional military phase, Operation Epic Fury, is complete. Moving on to Phase 2 of liberating Iran via diaspora-sourced Track 2 efforts, supporting Iranian resistance via equipment from Ukraine. Okay. So that means that the United States would be supporting Iranian diaspora with Track 2 support, which is guns, equipment, body armor,
what is
training. It's like guns, training, equipment, things like that.
As opposed to
probably bombing the Islamic Republic.
Track 2. No.
Track 2 material support.
Track 2 efforts refer to unofficial. Okay, so this is Track 2 efforts refers to unofficial, non-governmental dialogues and confidence-building measures involving retired officers, defense scholars, and strategic experts. These informal, off-the-record workshops and forums are designed to help. Okay. Okay, so basically unofficial people who are not necessarily part of the government. You know, is that what it is? I don't know. Jeffrey, use language that non-military experts could understand. Secret emissaries. Okay, so that's Jeffrey's assessment of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I sure hope so. Sign me up. Oh my God, what's that?
Oh my!
This is a little unconfirmed, but I cannot see it being any different from this.
Okay, this must be AI. This must be AI. This is AI, isn't it?
It might be.
It's probably like I don't tell. Like he's a dead man walking. If this is not AI, this probably is AI.
This is very early, like very, very early. I'm waiting for other people, but I don't imagine him looking any different when he actually signs this, even if this is AI.
This is for sure. Man. Let it be AI, because if it's not, like, poor guy. He deserves it though.
Well, that's the point. Like, even if it is AI, it's gonna look like that anyway.
Search for Pezeshkian. Like, why would he even agree to hold that up like that if he is not, like, they would have to put a gun on his head.
Probably not the first time they've done that.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm seeing more pictures like that though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa. So again, I don't know if this is official
Yeah.
or not. But let me just show you what people are sharing. So I don't know if this is real, but if we have a like this is what I'm getting. That's President Trump's signature. Okay, so guys, we don't know if this is real or not. I don't think I mean, let's assume it's not until we get confirmation. But if we ever get a picture like this, he's holding, that's President Trump's signature, and he's holding it like that. This is not confirmed, but I want something like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's how DocuSign works. They sign it, you print it out, then you sign it, which is why his pen is blue. So if this is AI, someone put some work into it. But yeah.
If this is real, then I'm glad that President Trump signed first and then he signed second, so that he had to put his signature next to President Trump's signature. So that would be very humiliating if the President Trump signature was already there. Guys, can anybody look into this and see if there have any sources that confirms that this is a real picture? Does it look like AI? I mean, I don't know if anybody can tell anymore.
Yeah, good point. Sheesh. What in the world? Huh. Ah, yes. Here we go. Thursday morning, several IRGC speedboats are performing an unspecified action in the Strait of Hormuz. An American ship is broadcasting a warning text in Persian over the radio that says, "The Islamic Republic has no control over the strait. Stop the operation and return to port. Otherwise, the United States Navy will attack your vessel." Ah, yes, the daily dose of Strait of Hormuz action, which, by the way, the Islamic Republic fired drones last night as well, and they were intercepted.
Ali, do you think this is AI? But
I don't know if it's AI,
no,
but
this
really, like,
no this
oh.
this one.
عقل كل فقیر اشبع كل جائع مکس كل أوریان عقد الدین كل مدین فرجا كل مکروه.
Is that Arabic? Wait, what language is that?
no.
Is that Arabic?
Yeah, but mix up Persian and Arabic. But it looks like he's lost his. Oh my god! You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if this is what he's going through in real life, losing his mind. Wait, let's watch this. Like, I bet you all the pressure that he's under, this is probably what he's doing in his free time. Let's watch this again.
عقل كل فقیر اشبع كل جائع مکس كل أوریان
Oh yeah.
عقد الدین كل مدین فرجا كل مکروه رد كل.
Oh man, we broke him. We broke Pazishkian under all this pressure.
You know, if this was released like 10 years ago, this would have been like, everyone would have been like 100%, like 100%. In just 10 years, we've come this far.
10 years?
In terms of
Are you
the,
kidding me? More than like 6 months.
6
months.
6 years ago, if that was released.
What was released? Like the AI
like an AI video that good? Yeah.
6 months ago, people wouldn't like 6 years ago. Are you kidding? Like, we didn't have AI 6 years. We were 6 months.
I think 6 months ago, people would have been like, okay, yeah, you could have spent like a lot of time building it and this and that. It could have been faked. But like a few years ago, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I think you are like, go back, look at what AI videos were like 6 months ago. I think maybe 1 year ago. There, 1 year. Anyways, I don't understand the super chat. Vashi is saying, Armin, this is not. Do you understand this? I don't understand.
This is not for Dorcas. This is for anti-regime. What is he referring to? What is this? Vashi, what is this?
I don't know what you're referring to. Sorry, Vashi, but thank you. Oh, all he said. Oh, here. This one, all he said means avacadabra. Yes, exactly. That's what he means.
Money.
All right. Oh, the image of Pezeshkian is holding is for the anti. Oh, okay. Wait, let me read it again. The picture Pezeshkian is holding is not for the Durkas, it's for us. Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. Like they're releasing the image to make us lose hope. To be like, look, guys, you failed. You tried to. Okay. Vashi is saying, yes, the image of Pezeshkian holding a signed deal, if they actually do release it, if that's real, is bad for the pro-regime people. But why would they release that? Because they're trying to show to the anti-regime people that your mission failed. We're still here, and we're dealing with the Americans. Give up already. You failed. Vashi, that's actually a very interesting point. Now that I understand it. Okay. We need to go. I need to go. I am already over time. All right, guys. Don't forget to subscribe because Ali told me that many of you haven't subscribed, even though you're watching us every day. Like, why are you doing that? Subscribe, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you guys, like, I was gonna threaten you, but then I realized that YouTube might take that seriously and ban us. So I'm not gonna threaten you. Okay. But yeah, please subscribe. All right. Yeah, look at this. Leo saying I subbed on day 1. Thank you, Leo.
Thanks, Leo.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll be here again, same time tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting because in the next 24 hours, there's going to be a lot of reactions to this MOU. A lot of reactions. So tomorrow we're going to go over that. And until then, I'm Israel Chai.
I'm Israel Chai.
Slava Ukraine.
Love Ukraine.
Cuba Libre.
Cuba Libre.
Long live America. Javicha.
Javicha.
Payande.
Payande Iran.
See you guys same time tomorrow. Bye, guys.